Hey there and welcome. Have you ever wondered what actually goes into making an ad that you just can't forget? Well, today we are pulling back the curtain on the whole world of advertising. We're going to be using some key insights from Pete Barry's The Advertising Concept Book to really break down the entire creative process. From that very first little spark of an idea all the way to a full-blown campaign. So let's jump right in. So let's start with this big question. What really is the difference between an ad you scroll past and one that actually sticks with you, maybe even becomes part of the culture? Come on, you know the ones I'm talking about. It's not just about selling a product. It's about creating a message that connects, that entertains, and that persuades. That's the magic we're going to try and unpack today.
All right, so here's our game plan. Think of it like building something from the ground up. We're going to start with the foundation of any great idea. Then, we'll move block by block through the creative process, actually crafting the ad, figuring out how to find its audience, and then covering the super important steps of pitching and refining. And to wrap it all up, we'll take a quick peek into what the future holds for this industry. First things first, the foundation. You can't build anything great on shaky ground, right? Every single amazing ad starts with solid strategic groundwork, and that all begins with something called the client's creative brief. This document is everything. It lays out the goals, the audience, the core message. It's really where you find the why behind the whole campaign. Now, Pete Barry's book, it really boils this whole foundation down to three core principles. The most powerful ideas in advertising are: 1, simple; 2, they're relevant to the audience; and 3, they're original enough to actually stand out in a super crowded world. You can think of these as the absolute non-negotiable pillars of a great ad. And out of those three, simplicity is definitely king. I love this quote from Pete Barry: "Simplicity reigns supreme." A clear, direct message is the only thing that's going to cut through the thousands, literally thousands, of ads we see every single day. I mean, think about it. If your audience has to work to figure out your message, you've already lost. A simple idea is always, always the most powerful one. Okay, so we've got a foundation set. Now it's time to actually start generating the ideas. This is the creative process. This is where we take that solid strategy and start turning it into a real blueprint for the ad we're going to make. And this process, it really breaks down into two main phases. First up is brainstorming. This is the no bad ideas zone. The goal here is just pure quantity. You're doing mind maps, word association, whatever it takes to get a ton of ideas on the table without any judgment. Then comes phase 2, refinement. This is where you get critical. You take all those raw ideas, you start to evaluate them, and you begin polishing the best ones into a real concept, often using things like sketches or storyboards to bring them to life. All right, now we've got a polished idea. It's time to actually build the thing. And when it comes to crafting an ad, the two elements that do the heaviest lifting in getting someone's attention are the headline and the main visual. They're basically the front door to your entire message. So what really makes a headline work? A great headline isn't just clever wordplay. It's got a strategy. It has to speak directly to what the audience needs. It should highlight the product's unique selling proposition, its USP. And it often uses emotion or humor to pull you in, create a little curiosity, and make you want to know more. It's the hook, plain and simple. But look, a headline can't do all the work by itself. The real goal here is synergy. That's where the words and the pictures work together perfectly. The visual should back up the headline, and the headline should explain the visual. Just think about Apple's iconic Think Different campaign. That simple text gave so much power to those images of geniuses and rebels. When words and visuals click like that, the message becomes unforgettable. You could create the most incredible, clever, and beautiful ad in the entire world. But if the right people never see it, well, it doesn't matter, does it? And that brings us to our fourth section, media strategy. This is all about choosing the right places to put your message so it actually gets seen. Generally speaking, we can split media into two big camps. You've got your traditional media, like TV and magazines, which are awesome for broad reach. Think of it like a shotgun blast, hitting a huge audience to build general brand awareness. And then you have digital media, social media, search ads. Their superpower is precise targeting. This is like a sniper rifle. You can reach very specific groups of people based on what they like, what they do, and who they are. The best campaigns, they usually use a smart mix of both. Okay, we're getting close to the finish line, but there are a few final hurdles before a campaign can really take off. First, the concept has to be pitched to the client, and then, once it's out in the wild, it needs to be constantly checked to make sure it's actually working. This is the journey from a simple presentation to a perfected campaign.
Yeah, advertising is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's a cycle. You pitch the idea, you get the thumbs up, and you launch. But your job isn't done. Now you have to measure its performance using what are called key performance indicators, or KPIs. Things like how many people clicked or if sales went up. And based on that data, you refine and you optimize. Maybe you use A/B testing to see which of two headlines works better. And then the whole cycle starts over again. And finally, let's look ahead for a minute. The world of advertising is never standing still. It is always, always changing. To stay in the game, everyone involved has to adapt to new tech and, just as importantly, to shifting consumer attitudes. There are three huge trends shaping what's next. First, you've got AI, which is making it possible to personalize ads for every single person on a massive scale. Then there's AR and VR, which are opening up these wild, immersive brand experiences we could only have dreamed of before. And maybe the most important trend of all is that people are demanding authenticity and social responsibility from brands, and that is fundamentally changing the kind of advertising that actually works. And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. As technology makes advertising so much more data-driven, so much more automated, what happens to that human creative spark? As our ads get smarter and smarter, how will creativity itself stay uniquely, messily, beautifully human? It's a really fascinating question for the future of this whole industry. Thanks so much for joining me.